Hundreds of people have gathered to mourn the deaths of Hannah Clarke and her 3 children, murdered in a horrific act of domestic violence. The rallies were staged in multiple locations where there were tears and despair at the senseless and unrelenting death toll. Already this year, 6 people in Queensland have been killed by their partner or father, 5 of them burnt to death.
For the past 10 years, the Red Rose Foundation has held a rally and marked a minute's silence for victims of domestic violence, the latest Hannah Clarke and her 3 children.
I had the honour and privilege of knowing Hannah. I will always remember Hannah for her incredible strength and courage.
Natalie Hinton's daughter, Tara Brown, was bashed to death by her partner in 2015.
It's been 4.5 years since Tara. Let's do a little more. You can all do a little more. And let's keep Hannah and her children in our thoughts.
Hannah Clarke escaped the violent family home in December and secured a domestic violence order. Her brother Nat saying, "Her parents gave every little thing they own to help my sister try and get away, taken by a heartless monster." Now the family is raising money for their funerals. On Wednesday morning, estranged husband Rowan Baxter somehow managed to get in her car in Camp Hill. He then doused Hannah and her 3 children, Aaliyah, Leanna and Trey, with petrol and burned them to death. Baxter died by the roadside, suffering self-inflicted wounds. Hannah's father, Lloyd Clarke, said he hopes the scum rots in hell. Her friend Munya Whaley says there were ominous warning signs 10 years earlier.
He said to his previous partner that if she was to leave him and with his child, he would take the child and kill himself and kill the child.
Perhaps explaining why these comments yesterday by the lead investigator, when he speculated on how the community might be taking sides, outraged so many.
Is this an issue of a woman suffering significant domestic violence and her and her children perishing at the hands of the husband? Or is this an instance of a husband being driven too far?
This morning, he was removed from the investigation.
I listened to just that part and I thought to myself, wow, this is really hurtful. As I was suggesting and asking him that he needed to step aside, he actually volunteered. Because I know him and because I know that's not him, I definitely feel sorry for him.
This afternoon, the Commissioner personally visited the Clarke family.
I just want to say the Clarkes are an amazing family. They're strong, they're devastated.
She says this case has only one line of inquiry: murder-suicide. Matt Wordsworth, ABC News, Brisbane.
Well, details continue to emerge about the abusive and controlling tactics Rowan Baxter used before killing his family. Despite the government spending millions of dollars to tackle domestic violence, statistics show the incidents have risen dramatically in the past 5 years.
Behind the facade of a happy couple was a woman suffering as a man waged a campaign of control and abuse.
She hid a lot so well, just, I don't know, for the sake of the children and everything like that. Like, probably at first, before the kids, didn't really realise what was happening.
Hannah Clarke's family have spelled out Rowan Baxter's manipulative behaviour.
He was very good at that, of playing the victim himself.
Friends have revealed further details about the dark side of the relationship between Hannah and her estranged husband. Writing on social media, one says she'd spoken to Hannah about the different types of violence, including financial abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and Hannah had experienced all of them. Another friend told the ABC Hannah believed her estranged husband had hacked her phone, and in the weeks leading up to Wednesday's murder-suicide, he tried to break her wrist after she discovered photos in the back of his car.
As a community, we all need to do more.
How many more women have to die? This has just got to stop.
In 2013-2014, police received more than 66,000 domestic violence reports. The police commissioner says it's now 100,000. That's jumped from 180 incidents a day to 260.
And in some of my shifts, that's all my officers do, is go from one occurrence to the other. Our challenge is, in fact, that I think it's underreported.
In a statement, advocate Rosie Batty said this is the most pressing issue of terrorism our society faces. Experts say if perpetrators flout court orders, they're indicating they're a law unto themselves.
There has to be consequences, swift and certain. And I don't think at the moment our system is showing enough urgency.
Some offender intervention programs have a 6-month waiting list.
The horse is bolted, if you like.
Advocates want the deaths of this family to not be in vain. Kate McKenna, ABC News, Brisbane.
Well, one of the leading figures in the fight against domestic violence is Quentin Bryce. Her landmark report, Not Now, Not Ever, in 2015, led to many changes in the system to try to better protect victims. Quentin Bryce, thank you so much for your time.
Evening, Jessica.
What went through your mind when you heard about the terrible events in Camp Hill this week?
Well, as for everybody, I think, shock. It's a shattering tragedy that I think has touched every one of us very deeply with sadness for such suffering and loss and grief and so many emotions.
It's 5 years since your report was handed down and the government says all 140 recommendations have been actioned. But unfortunately, we're still seeing these murders. What else can be done?
I've thought about it very deeply. We're all talking about it in our community, the dreadful news of this week. And I think that the conclusion that I come to is that we need more resources. We've got to do it harder and better and with more determination. We've got to throw everything we've got at this horrific human rights issue in our society. That we've got to have early intervention, that we need to be addressing with better, stronger, longer-term programs for perpetrators so that we can reach out to perpetrators so that they will call for help that they know they should, or they've got some education about that.
On a personal level, I think a lot of people have been left feeling helpless by this week's events, and they're asking, what can I do? What is the answer to that question?
Well, that's exactly what we should be asking. What can I, myself, do? Otherwise, we fall into despair and we give up. We can all do something, whether it's a touch on the arm with, are you okay, when there's something that we feel is going wrong.
Quentin Bryce, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jessica.
And if you or someone you know needs help, please call 1800 RESPECT or Lifeline on 13 11 14.